everyone. I'm Jim Longworth, and welcome to another edition of Triad Today, coming to you from the Senior Botanical Garden, and we'll tell you more about them later on. And later on is when the roundtable shows up. We'll get into all sorts of controversies with them, but between now and then, some great guests and topics coming your way, including a serious discussion about what we need to do to practice good hygiene in these times. But where we want to start is with some great guests who have been with us before. Our good buddy on my immediate right, Jimmy Flythe, Director of Government and Community Relations, Central Region for Duke Energy, and returning to the show after several years, and we missed her, but she's back now. Paula McCoy is Executive Director for Partnership for Prosperity. Welcome, everybody. Good to see you. Paula, I'm going to ignore you for just a second. I want to start with Jimmy on something. In general, what's the mission of the Duke Energy Foundation?
Hey, Jim. Yeah, the objective of the foundation is to support philanthropic organizations in the communities where Duke Energy customers live and work. In 2022, our focus area is going to be on climate resiliency, economic vitality, and the third area is going to be justice, inclusion, and equity. And the foundation gives away about $30 million a year. And just last month, the foundation gave 40 $25,000 grant to
Wow.
Yeah, 40 grants to organizations in North Carolina that support social justice and racial equity. And United Way of Forsyth County was one of those recipients, and I was glad that Paula could join us today to tell us about the good work they're doing.
Right. Paula, what is, just for folks who don't know, what is the Partnership for Prosperity all about?
The Partnership for Prosperity is an initiative that emerged from the Winston-Salem Poverty Thought Force in February of 2017. It was charged with the mission of fighting the fight against poverty and also raising public awareness and advocating for local and state policy change.
And you're working through United Way. It's all under that umbrella, right?
Right. And United Way and our mission aligns. United Way doesn't do anything alone. It works in partnership and in collaboration with other organizations in the community.
Now, Jimmy mentioned that your organization received a grant from the Duke Energy Foundation. What do you hope to accomplish with having received that grant? How can you put that to good use? Maybe give you an example of how that's going to happen.
Well, the name of this initiative is Moving Families Forward. And what we want to do is help, address racial justice and poverty elimination. We hope to reduce disparate outcomes for people who are suffering, with these issues of housing, jobs and workforce development, education, food insecurity, and health and wellness.
They're all connected, aren't they, Paula? Because, like if kids don't have good nutrition, then how are they going to succeed in school? And if the parents don't have health care, how are they going to succeed at work? And it's all connected.
They are connected, and addressing these really helps to enhance the quality of life for people who we'll be serving.
There's so many things that people can give to and so many issues that we need to tackle. Why is this equity issue so important right now, do you think?
Well, when you look through the racial equity lens, we really see things in a different way. And we start to focus on people, their gifts, skills, and talents, and really using those gifts to help change their communities. People have a lot of talent, and we want to really use their talents in order to address the issues that confront them every day.
Why is your take on this, your mission of your organization, so unique? Because there are a lot of organizations doing some good work, and the Second Harvest is doing great work, fighting hunger, and there are a lot of great organizations out there. What's unique about what your team's trying to do?
We use a bottoms-up approach. That is, people who are impacted by these issues make the decisions and solve the problems. And so top-down decision-making hasn't moved the needle a lot.
No.
And so this is sort of an experiment. We want to see if the bottoms-up approach really moves the needle. And we think it can. Well,
let me give some information before we run out of time here. Partnership for Prosperity, WS.org is the main website. You can get some information. The general website for United Way is forsythunitedway.org. And also check out duke-energy.com is their general website. But as Jimmy always says, he loves this website here. I always try to put it up. Even when you're not here, I put this up. It's generatingprogress.com. Give me 10 seconds on why that's a good website.
Yeah, just learn all types of things, just what we're doing in the community and how we're supporting organizations. One of the things we want to make sure going forward as we transition North Carolina to cleaner energy is that diverse communities are able to participate in that important work.
Absolutely. And then we get the big news, the Toyota battery plant for EVs is coming in. So in a few years, oh, wow, a lot of stuff going on. Hey, Paul, keep up the good work.
Thank you.
And don't let it be 3 years next time.
No.
Jimmy, thank you.
Thanks, Jim.
We'll be right back after this. On Triad Today, we're always glad when some of the good folks from Carolina University can stop by. And now we have a first-time visitor with us, and we're going to introduce to you right now. With me is Dr. Gia Guo. She's Assistant Professor of Leadership at John Wesley School of Leadership at Carolina University. Thanks for coming over.
Thank you for joining and invite me.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a very pleasure to come here. And I think it's also a very good opportunity to share with you guys about our leadership program.
I'm anxious to hear about it. Now, how would you describe the mission of the leadership program? How would you describe it?
So I feel like our program is designed to kind of provide a sequential of courses that help people to understand leadership and also to become a future leader. So on that base, we have a lot of different courses and also knowledge to enhance the comprehensive understanding of leadership on more advanced level.
What do you think, in sort of specifically, given examples, what do you think the program can offer to students?
So I guess the first and foremost thing is students can have this opportunity to learn the first-hand and most advanced knowledge from the academic field. And I think secondly, a lot of students I taught from that, they told me that this is a very good place for them to make connections with people who have a similar desire to understand, to learn and to understand leadership, and also to make friends, to explore their connections in this field.
A great learning environment for that. Let's talk about leadership in the world right now. It seems like, I don't know, maybe I'm wrong, that there's a sort of a change in the way leadership is today. Mm-hmm. What, maybe even in the context of the pandemic having an effect, I don't know. But I guess what I'm asking you is, how do you see the role of a leader today?
Yeah, sure. I guess we all know that the COVID-19 has changed our life in all aspects, so including leadership. So I'll say the concept of leadership actually has been changed from the traditional defined leadership role to a more broad and innovative, maybe more enlightened leadership role. So it's not just about a multi-level interactions between leader and followers to achieve a certain goal, but it's more a diversified.
We can all be leaders, right?
Yeah, and also it probably be mediated by a technology, a different kind of a platform that people have not experienced before, and those diversified techniques, systems we call a substitute for leadership. So that people will, they strive to learn those things so that they can handle different type of leadership practices.
You sent me an email one day, and I want to make sure I get this right. And you mentioned, you put a phrase on there. It says, future-ready leader. What do you mean by future-ready?
So I guess it's also kind of a notion that currently suggested by the scholars that future-ready leader is that previously we say that people are motivated by a desire for personal success, but future-ready leaders, they need to care more about others. So they need to be prepared. They're able to adapt to new environment. So that it's more of a changing from a right or wrong mindset to a mindset of being a scientist, so that to explore and communicate, to iterate every day on a daily basis. So I think that is kind of a notion of future.
That's very interesting. I just the program itself just sounds fascinating to me, and I really applaud what you're doing. But I want to put up on screen here, just for general information, carolinau.edu is the website, carolinau.edu, and I hope you will check that out. And I really appreciate your visit today, and maybe we can get you to come back sometime.
Thank you. Yeah, really appreciate it.
All
Thank you,
right.
guys.
Thank you, Dr. Quo. We'll be right back after this. Now, on Triad Today, always glad when we can spend a few minutes with some of the good folks from Alamance Community College. We're going to do that right now. And our special guest is Dr. Elizabeth Riley. Liz is head of the Department of Horticulture Technology and Agricultural Biotechnology at Alamance Community College. Welcome to the show.
Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it.
I know that the horticulture program, because we've talked about things like this before in the program, at Alamance Community College has a long history. But I understand you're now adding some new programs, so fill me in on that.
Yes, so the horticulture program has been in place for a little over 30 years now. It's been very successful, and a couple of years ago we had a donor make an anonymous donation of a 47-acre farm.
Wow.
Yeah, so that really helped us to be able to look at our program and see, okay, where are our next steps? So pending approval in 2022, we'll be starting 3 new programs.
Okay. Now, we'll take those individually, but within the scope of what we're about to talk about, I know because you sent me an email about something and the term agribusiness technology. And I'm curious about the term business within that phrase. So that's kind of appropriate, isn't it?
Yes.
That business is in the name.
Yes, exactly. So agribusiness technology is one of the new programs that we're waiting approval on that we hope to start in 2022. And that program, I've been in my position for 4 years, and I've really seen in horticulture a lot of entrepreneurs come along and need that business side of it, whether they're going back to their family farms or landscape companies. They need to know how to operate a business. And so that program is going to help them do that.
Yeah, I just think it's so valuable and what you're doing with that. But there are a couple others that you brought up to me that you sent me an email about. And one of them I want you to talk about is sustainable agriculture. What does that involve?
So with the Sustainable Agriculture Program, similar to the agribusiness degree, they will graduate with an Associate's in Applied Science, and that's going to help them learn lots of different topics so that they can grow crops, they can grow animals. They're learning sustainable practices to do that with. You know, some of our resources that we use are non-renewable, so we take a look at how to use those responsibly. They learn about how to treat pests with an environmentally friendly focus. They learn traditional ways as well. So they're really getting a lot of opportunities to kind of expand that sustainable agriculture that some of them might already be doing, and they need just a little bit more training in it. We've seen a lot of small local farms pop up over the past years, and so we really think this is a good niche for those students.
And really helping the environment as they're learning their way through this stuff too.
Yes, sir.
What about agricultural education aspect of what you're doing?
So agricultural education, similar to the other two, they'll graduate with a 2-year degree, an Associate's in Applied Science, and that is teaching them the fundamentals of classroom learning along with the fundamentals of agriculture, both plants and animals. And so that sets people up for if they're interested in moving to work as an extension agent. You know, cooperative extension in North Carolina is a big thing we have, and we're so fortunate to have that. So it can help them start that path. 4-H agents, a lot of people don't know what 4-H is anymore. So getting them trained to help teach kids about agriculture, crop production, lots of things like that.
How is, we didn't rehearse this, but how do you think the 4-H programs are? I know we've had the pandemic, that's made it difficult, but overall and over the years, you're kind of a big supporter of 4-H, right?
Yeah, so we are a big supporter. We are obviously in Alamance County, so we partner a lot with the Alamance County Cooperative Extension Agency, and they have several 4-H programs in place. We at ACC host one. We're called the ACC Snapdragons, and so we teach them about lots of different plant-related things. So we've seen, we kept going through the pandemic. We were doing Zoom meetings with the kids. We were dropping kits off on their front porches. So we really kept going with that. And I've seen a lot of the 4-H programs do that. And so we're just
You said dropping kits off on you didn't, not dropping kids off on front porches. Yeah.
Yeah, like mushroom grow bags, worm bins, things they can do and get their hands dirty at home,
That's cool.
socially distant.
That's cool. And all this really helps the young people and folks of any age move toward and going through these programs to find and develop careers that are just sustainable themselves and so exciting. Up on screen, alamancecc.edu is the website, alamancecc.edu, which we hope you will visit. Liz, thanks for everything you do.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoyed it.
All right. We'll be right back. Back now on Triad Today, and I'm so pleased to have this first-time visitor to the show to help us understand more about good hygiene. Yes, I said good hygiene, especially in this day and time. Very important topic. With us right now, our friend Kitty Horton. She's manager of infection prevention at Northern Regional Hospital, based in Mount Airy. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you today?
How do you like being at the garden?
This is absolutely
Pretty.
beautiful.
Isn't it pretty?
First time, it's gorgeous.
And now let's talk about this good hygiene thing. It's didn't you tell me in an email that it's Hand Hygiene Week?
It is. It's National Hand Hygiene Awareness Week from December the 1st through the 7th. And that's really to help educate our whole society about the importance of good hand hygiene. I think we've heard so much about it here lately, especially with COVID.
Right.
And, you know, by having great hygiene, we can actually help prevent the spread of infections.
Well, it wasn't just when the pandemic, but as you know, for years and years, we'd hear our parents or somebody say, now, when you wash your hands, use warm water and wash them for 20 seconds.
Exactly.
Is that just a myth? Is that a good rule to follow? Or
That is a great rule to follow, and scientific studies have shown that 20 seconds is really the ideal time to help remove all the germs and chemicals from your hands. And the important thing too is when you're doing your hand hygiene is to wash the palms of your hands, the back of your hands, in between your fingers and underneath your fingernails, and
Right.
that will absolutely help.
yeah, just good common sense. Now, let me pick at you about something here,
Okay.
because you're the expert on infection prevention. When this whole thing about COVID really hit the news and people were more aware of it and how serious it was, and so we're going back to maybe April of last year, the first thing we were hearing from health officials is, whatever you do, don't touch hard surfaces, and if you do, you better go wash your hands and all this stuff. I mean, I wore gloves for forever because I was afraid to. Now, is that still the case? Should you not touch hard surfaces for fear you could pick up flu germs, COVID germs, variants, or whatever? And if you do touch them, do you not touch some other part of your body? Bring me up to speed on that.
Well, that's a great question. And basically, it's possible that you could get COVID or other infections by touching that, but we do know with COVID that it's typically caused by respiratory droplet. But they're still finding out a lot about COVID as we speak. And so if you do have, you do touch something that's visibly dirty or you're worried about it, be sure and clean the surface and then disinfect it with like Lysol disinfectant wipes or some of the wipes that are out there to really disinfect the surface.
All right, now this is going to sound like a personal question, but we're talking about hygiene. If I'm, let's say, at a store or a restaurant or whatever, I have to go into to use the men's facility,
Right.
powder my nose or whatever. Now, seriously, if I wash my hands, I get through that okay. Some of these places have these air dryers, and some have paper towels and stuff. Is one better than the other for good hygiene?
Well, we've heard a lot about that lately too, and actually there's been studies done on that, and both are effective. The main thing you need to remember about that is to make sure you get your hands dry, because if your hands remain wet, then you're more likely to continue to hold those germs and be more likely to have an infection
I didn't
versus
know
if your
that.
hands are dry.
So the wet hands could actually work against you?
They can.
I didn't realize
They
that.
can. So you
Now,
need to have them dry.
Yeah, what about if you're in that situation and you have the option of washing your hands with soap and water or using a hand sanitizer, and you got both options? Which is better?
I would choose the hand washing is more effective. And certainly if you do have to use a hand sanitizer, always make sure it's a hand sanitizer that's got at least 60% alcohol, and that will kill the germs.
Now, the final thing before time runs out, let me ask you about wipes, because
Okay.
I keep these all the time now since the COVID thing. And it says on there, antibacterial. Now, is this really helping me protect against germs?
Well, there's different types of wipes. If you use the hand sanitizer wipes, again, make sure those will kill germs, that it's 60% alcohol. If you have baby wipes do not kill
Don't.
germs. They'll just, you can wipe your hands off with them, but then you would need to end up washing your hands with like soap and water to get the germs off.
Gotcha.
Watch out for the disinfectant wipes, because those are made to, you actually would wash your surface first and then they will disinfect to kill the germs. But if you use those directly on your hands, they can cause a lot of irritation and problems there. And so that's, if you read the how you're supposed to handle those, it will recommend that you wear gloves when you're actually using
Yeah,
disinfectant
because that's to use
wipes.
on toilets and stuff. But
Exactly.
use the other hand wipes. All right,
Right.
up on screen. ChooseNorthern.org is the website. ChooseNorthern.org is the general website for the hospital. Kitty, you're just a wealth of information. Thanks for coming and doing
Thank
this.
you so much. It was a pleasure to be here.
I'm going to go wash my hands right now.
Okay.
We'll be right back after this. Back now on Triad Today, just about time for the roundtable with a quick shout out to the good folks at Cedar Botanical Garden. Check out their website. Check out the garden. They got lots of things illuminated for Christmas. It's a great place. And this is a great place when these three guys are here. On my right, but always political left, Ogie Overman, the great broadcaster and journalist. Dr. Don Martin, who is vice chair of the Forsyth County Commissioners, among other things, is here with us. And also socially distanced back there with Don Keith Granberry, founder of Helping Hands Consultants. Guys, the first question deals with a new law that just went into effect from the State General Assembly. Previously, a convicted sex offender was required to wear electronic monitoring for life. But the new law limits that monitoring to 10 years. You okay with that, guys?
I believe in redemption. I don't know that it should be limited. I think it should be more like come up for a parole hearing maybe after 10 years and
reconsider
you've been clean and, keep an eye on them, make them report to a parole officer, but don't just cut them loose because I don't know if there is redemption in some sex offenders.
Sex offenders, Don, on just cutting it to 10 years for monitoring?
I'm okay with that. In fact, I think there's been a lot of litigation about that, and I really think this law was a result of a lot of the litigation. I think that 10-year issue became sort of a compromise.
Keith, what do you think?
I think it depends on the crime, what type of sexual crime it is. There are some issues where I think you need a lifetime ban, and there's some where 10 years is warranted. It depends.
Yeah, it is. Unfortunately, that law is pretty much going to be set in stone regardless of what the person did. Speaking of sex, parents in Raleigh want charges filed against the Wake County school system for distributing books to students which contain graphic language and images about sex acts. They cited 4 or 5 books in particular. One of them was called Lawn Boy, the other was called Gender Queer. Should schools be criminally liable for making such books available to students? Now, we've heard a lot of vitriol and argument and debate from the right about this, but this may have some merit. What do you think? Should charges be filed against the school system for having those books?
No, I don't see that, Jim. I think the book burners are just looking for a fight. They need to have an enemy. They need a straw man so that they can pick a fight.
Dr. Don Martin, former school superintendent for many, many years. What's your take?
No, I don't think so. And in fact, I think every school district in this country has some kind of policy on protest about materials, inappropriate materials in libraries or school books or whatever. And they have a procedure that brings in together a panel of people to review it. And there's a lot, I think the whole issue, censorship, is a pretty slippery slope. And that's what you're getting into with a lot of that. And different communities have different sort of norms.
All right, but no legal action, you don't think?
No legal action.
Keith?
No.
These are the type of parents that kids are going to go out and do crazy things because they're trying to control these young people. There's so much that they can learn. Why don't you teach them the right way so that when you see things like that, they're able to deal with it instead of trying to sue a school system.
Okay. Of course, some of this could be offensive to some kids.
A lot of things is offensive.
Yeah.
Not having black history taught in the school is offensive to a lot of kids. But,
right. All right.
But a lot has to do with what's a requirement. And when these are books in the library is one thing versus this, everybody's got to read it.
Okay. Now, speaking of parents of the 15-year-old Michigan boy who murdered 4 students recently, the parents have been arrested. Now, of course, I don't know whether they tried to flee the police, but that's not the point. They originally sought to be arrested because they bought a gun for their son for a Christmas present and then failed to keep it secure. That's what the prosecutor wanted to charge them with. Now, in general, not just that case, but in general, guys, should parents go to prison for allowing their child to have access to guns that are then used to commit a murder? Ogie?
Well, that's not an in general case. Yeah, maybe in general, probably.
Well, a lot of them have happened,
but,
though.
it depends on the details. These people need to go to jail, period.
Okay, Don.
Yeah, I don't think it's a routine issue, but I think when you sort of cross a line where it's egregious, gross neglect, then I think certainly parents could be charged.
So, but you two guys don't think that in general, because we've had a lot of these shootings and murders where people say put the parents in jail, but you're saying in general not.
Correct.
Keith.
You buy a 15-year-old a gun, you should go to jail. The young man who went across state lines illegally with a gun and killed somebody and was found innocent, somebody should go to jail for that. Why does this guy have a gun when he's not even legally supposed to have one of these? I mean, I don't understand it.
It's
I'm
weird.
confused.
This is an egregious case.
Yeah,
It's
it
totally.
is. It is, but I'm saying that this is happening more and more frequently.
You shouldn't
just
buy
through
your
different-
kids guns.
4 people were wounded recently at a turkey shoot in Moore County. 2 of the victims were children. Now, the incident occurred when a loaded shotgun fell off a table and discharged. Guys, is it time, and I'm being serious about this, should we ban turkey shoots? Ogie?
Now, I used to go to turkey shoots with some buddies of mine, and I think what you need to do is ban alcohol at turkey shoots, because there's some serious drinking going on at times. Guarantee you, I was one of them.
Don Martin.
I agree. In fact, our Forsyth County commissioners have just revised our turkey shooting ordinance. And I know I've heard a lot about it. We have one here in Kernersville that's been in operation for nearly 75 years and has done a lot of good. The one that sort of brought this issue to bear did deal with some safety issues, and we actually changed that a good bit.
Ban them, Keith?
Well, I think there should be rules around turkey shoot. Only shoot turkeys. I mean, that's a golden rule.
Yeah, they'd be aiming at you and Ogie. Nevada, well, I was going to get to another thing, but I've had it with him. I was going to we'll talk about the other thing later. All right, but finally, scientists at the California-based company says that by the year 2027, they'll open a luxury hotel in outer space. Guys, would you ever stay in a hotel in outer space, Ogie?
Probably. I think it's a little ambitious, but I think I probably would.
You would. Don, would you?
Probably depends on whether they have a swimming pool or not.
I don't know. Keith, would you stay in a hotel in outer space?
You know, anybody who's with me already feel like they're out of space, so I don't need to travel. You know, so the hotels I stay in right now, you know, they
are here on Earth.
Space, on Earth.
They're here on Earth. All right.
Not out of space.
I'm not sure what happened today. I'm really not sure what I heard. But anyway, that's all the time we have. Oh, speaking of outer space, I don't know if you read this or not, but the 4 astronauts in the SpaceX rocket have a problem. Their toilet broke in the capsule, and they won't be able to use the toilet for the entire trip home, which gives a whole new meaning to the term splashdown. For all of us here on Triad Today, I'm Jim Longworth.